history, past and present for you. Meeting friends old and new. Streaming Wednesdays and Saturdays too. With founder members Paul and Sue. The smiles that we bring are a heritage thing. HDPP, keeping history alive. HDPP, streaming HDPP live. Where local memories survive. HDPP, streaming HDPP live. Film clips, photos, memories and friends helps a dreary night go by. Wearing Hinckley, six of the best, stupendous, quizzical high. The smiles that we bring are a heritage thing. HDPP, keeping history alive. HDPP, streaming HDPP live. Where local memories survive. HDPP, streaming HDPP live. Let's take you back in time. A community affair. We'll take you for a ride. Henson's Cab will take you there. We're making history. HDPP, chapter pauses. History supporting local causes. Streaming HDPP live. Betty is our queen bee. The sweetest honey candy. Dangerous Den here again. HDPP live. Hey, you know it keep it HDPP.
Oh, go on, give them a clap, give them a clap. Go on, they're worth it. You'll miss it next week, almost. Good evening, welcome along. Here we are, Sunday night once again, here in the middle of good old Blighter. Yes, and it's Hinckley District Past and Present live, the penultimate edition of the season. Yes, next week will be our last one of the season until the Dark Nights return. But that's a long way off, and we've got lovely spring and summer to look forward to. But anyway, listen, that all comes later. Great to be here once again on this Sunday evening, and plenty of people, of course, in the old chat room, as you can see, on the old... well, I've got to point that way, yeah. Everything's reverse way round when you're doing this, you see, so I've got to remember to do that, even though it's that side. It's really weird. However, it's great to have your company and people in the chat room already. So let's go over and let's just scroll up and have a look and see who's first in. Well, first in actually was Mr. and Mrs. Smugly and Co. They were in first. They've been loitering around in the waiting room, you know, since gone 7 o'clock. I know, but however, less days to go for Mr. Smugly. Yes, he'll be almost retired by the time we're finished, I tell you. Dave B, hello again. HDPP, says Dave B, on a boat somewhere on the Canal Network. So hello, Dave. Trust you've okay as well. Steve Gardner down on the farm. Ooh, ah, ooh, ah. Yes, he's looking forward to tonight's programme as well. Along with Dangerous Den. He is here again, and it's Annabelle's here. Hello, Annabelle. So nice of you to drop in and see your friends here at HDPP. Jane Brown and Tim, nice to know that you're here this evening. And Kit's here. And Mrs. Poldark too. Yes. Jeff Wallace and Anna, they're tuned in. Nice to see you yesterday in the club and have a couple of drinky poos. It's always nice to relax and have a good old chat. So, yes. Anyway, Jeff, we've got sorted. You know what I mean. We've got sorted. I'll tell you in a moment. And David said, good evening, Paul, Sue, and everybody in the room. Daniel Coburn here and saying, great to hear me on the radio last week. I was doing mid-morning programme on FOSS 107 from Wednesday to Friday, covering for some One of the lads that had got tonsillitis could hardly talk, so there you go. So, but anyway, everything's all gone back to normal now, so don't panic, don't panic. Tasha's here as well, Tasha Denny, of course, and as I'm scrolling down, I can see plenty of chat going on. Mrs. Smuggley says, I can't wait until he does retire. That sounds ominous. That sounds like a load of work all piling up there, Mr. Smuggley. Yeah, I hope you're going to throw us a big party at least. If we can't have your book, we can surely have a party. That's what I say. Anyway, it's great to have you all in there, and keep those comments coming in the programme this evening. We've got plenty of stuff in the programme. We've got part 2 of Hinckley's Changing Face tonight, so we'll be seeing that. We've got a message from somebody we haven't seen much of late. You'll see why very shortly. And we'll also be looking at old cars. Were they good? Were they bad? What was your memories of them? We're going to be looking at that as well. So there is plenty to look forward to this Sunday evening, because that's when we're live. Maybe you're watching this midweek. There's quite a few people that actually watch this later at their leisure. For example, Queen Bee, she now watches later at her leisure. It's because she can shut all this up and just fast forward to the bit she wants to see. I know what it is. And of course, it's been Mothering Sunday today, and so it's been nice to see some of the lovely comments online about mums, be they present, past mums, no longer with us, but fondly remembered and held in our hearts. It's been a lovely day for mums today, and the weather's not been too bad, although it is turned a bit sort of windy and a bit wet at times. So now, but or as I say, it's baby weather. Yeah. Okay. And before we go any further, and why I remember to do so, actually, I must just scroll down on my list there. It's going there. We've got a very, very special birthday in the camp. Yes, I know. Got to do this, otherwise I shall get in trouble. I won't get a lift. No, it's Annabelle's 18th birthday birthday today. Hang on a minute. We better do that. We better do that. And lots more. Yes, I know. All the different claps in all the rooms around the place. Look, there's plenty. Happy birthday. Happy 18th birthday indeed to you, Annabelle. Great. Now you're a lady. Now you are a lady. You can come and go as you please. Well, we're better for this. Probably one of the last times this season. Bring out the HDPP singers.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, yeah. Sung with a lot of feeling and soul there. The HDPP singers. Happy birthday, Annabelle. Have a great... Do you know it only... I can't believe this. It only seems like sort of 10 years ago when I was 18, but you would never believe it. I got lots more hair there and stuff. Got a lot to learn and all, I tell you. However, have a great day, and hope you're going to have a nice tarty. You can't beat a good tarty when you're 18 or 21, you know. Why do I say tarty? A bit of a panto throwback. It's a long story, but instead of saying party, we say tarty. But I won't go into it now. It's not worth it. It's not going there. Right. Okay then. So that's the first and most important thing to say. Let me remind you that coming up, of course, next weekend, it's our old school assembly and songs event at St Mary's Church, Saturday afternoon, 3:00. Part of the organ marathon, or the organathon, as they say. We're looking forward to that. That's next Saturday afternoon, 3 till 4. But anyway, we're looking forward to that. So busy day for us, because we've got scanning in the morning, singing in the afternoon, crashing out at night, I think. It's probably what I'll be doing. But that's happening, of course, next week. And, of course, the week after, do not forget our social night, when we've got the man himself, the man that knows everything about Ada Lovelace. Stanley Rooney will be talking to us on the life of Ada Lovelace. That's on Wednesday, the 25th of March. Everybody welcome. It'll be interesting. And now we've got the statue. I was actually at St Mary's Junior School on Wednesday afternoon, talking to the children there. And they know it's really good because they now know about a bit more about Ada Lovelace. And, of course, they've seen the statue. And so they're more inclined and more interested to know who she was and what she did. So really, really good work by Stan. So that'll be our social night, a Wicker Wednesday. Because we're out on Thursday night for HDPP doing a presentation over in Sapcote. Or if you say it, you can tell anybody who doesn't come from the area because they say, we live in Sapcote. No, you don't. You live in Sapcut. That's there. Yeah, so you always know when you're a local. But anyway, we're doing a talk there on Thursday evening in the coming week. Now then, so let's get down to Casey, shall we? First of all, let's go back to where we were last week. Oh no, I haven't given you the quiz yet. My producer's sleeping. We've got to do the quiz. Are you ready for the quiz? Get your pens and paper ready. I nearly forgot this. This is true. I'll get used to this running order one day. The quiz. We do have a quiz. So if you settle back and relax and get your pens and paper ready, because here comes the quiz. As always, don't put the answers in the chat room. People nick them. True. They nick them. They pass them off as to be the clever ones, but no, we don't do that here. We play fair. And as I say, at the end of the programme, I'll ask you to put your answers up, what you might be. So, with no further agadoo, let's get on to the quiz. This used to be called the 6 of the Best quiz, but because of cutbacks, we can only do 4. So, are you ready? Question number 1. Which mineral is commonly known as fool's gold? You think, oh, I should know that one. Oh, yeah, wait, Mrs. What is it? Yeah, what mineral is commonly known as fool's gold? It looks like gold, but it ain't, basically. Yeah, so that is question number 1. Okay, I think relatively easy to start off the quiz with this week. Now then, here's a little teaser for you. Now, and when you stop to look, you can always see me. But if you try and touch me, you can never feel me. Now stop it. Although you walk towards me, I remain the same distance from you. What am I? There. So when you stop to look, you can always see me. But if you try and touch me, you can never feel me. Although you walk towards me, I remain the same distance from you. What am I? What am I indeed? I'm asking myself that a lot of the time. What am I anyway? Yeah. So there you are. There's a little teaser for you. Come back to them. We'll be repeating the questions in just a few moments. Question number 3. Another little teaser. What gets bigger the more you take away? And it's not debt or our bank balance. What gets bigger the more you take away? It's not a bank balance. Oh dear. I love these questions. Anyway, so there you go. That's the question number 3. Now, yesterday I was talking to Jeff Wallace, and I said I could not think of an aniogram. And I didn't get this one till lunchtime today I thought, yes, I think we can do one there. So, abscond dump Marilyn, if you rearrange that, it'll give you a company well known locally through the 50s into the 80s and 90s. I mean, they're now privatised and stuff, that's all I will say. But anyway, we're looking for a company well known locally through the 50s into the late 80s and 90s, because I don't think they're going today because it's all privatised. But anyway, that's what we're looking for. Abscond dumped Marilyn. That almost sounds like a pudding, doesn't it? I'll have that, and I'll have an abscond dumped Marilyn, please. There we go. Let's go through the questions one more time for you then. Here we go. Question 1. Which mineral is commonly known as fool's gold? That's question number 1. Question number 2 is a bit of a riddle for you. When you stop to look, you can always see me. But if you try and touch me, you can never feel me. Although you walk towards me, I remain the same distance from you. So what am I? What am I? And the next one, question number 3. What gets bigger the more you take away? And when you get the answers to these, you think, yeah, of course. It's that sort of thing. But anyway, there you go. What gets bigger the more you take away? And there is the aniogram this evening. Abscond dump Marilyn, a company well known locally through the 50s into the late 80s and 90s. Everybody know this one. But I'm not going to give them any clues tonight. I'm not going to give anything. I'm not giving no clues tonight. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, good. Right, so there's the quiz. You can be playing that this evening while we get on with our features this evening. Right, okay then. We're going to continue on with where we got to last week with Hinckley's Changing Face, which was made in the early 1990s, let's say sort of early 1990s, mid 1990s, by Stuart Watson. And I always like playing these films through at least once every season because they're well worth it. And it's interesting to see some of the places he goes into in this part, of course, are no longer standing. So we can settle back and enjoy part 2 of Hinckley's Changing Face. All I've got to do is that when I click the button, I've got to click two mouse clicks. Here we go.
Strong cultural and leisure connection, and cinemas used to be a feature of the town.
Well, of course, that is something you could not do in this building over 40 years ago, because then it was cinema, the Regent Theatre and Cinema. Today, it is Flutter's Bingo Club. Cinema came to Hinckley in the very early years of the 20th century. Not in a purpose-built building, it was in a place called St George's Hall, not to be confused with St George's Ballroom in the Horse Fair. That wasn't built till 1936. No, St George's Hall was in the marketplace, adjoining the George Hotel. But it wasn't until 1913 that the first purpose-built building was erected in Hinckley, in the borough. It was called the Hinckley Theatre and Cinema, but the locals called it the borough. That about 1919 it was decided we needed another building. So the proprietors of the Hinckley Theatre and Cinema, they looked around the town to see where else films could be shown. And they found the Drill Hall in New Buildings. They took a lease on it, they converted it into a nice cinema, seating, screen, curtains, and it opened up in 1920. And it was found that 2 cinemas were just not enough for all the people that wanted to come. So, 1927, land was bought on the corner of Rugby Road and Lancaster Road. And in 1929, this building opened, the Regent Theatre and Cinema. But in 1934, it was decided they should make a real facelift to the Hinckley Theatre and Cinema in the borough. A brand new building was put on the Trinity Lane side of that cinema. And the original theatre now became the foyer for the new one. The following year, that building was sold to a man by the name of Oscar Deutsch, who was building up a big cinema chain around Great Britain, the Odeon cinema chain. So now Hinckley had its own Odeon. The following year, 1935-36, they were surprised to see a hosiery factory being demolished on the corner of Trinity Lane and the top of Hollycroft. And very soon, a cinema was being erected in its place. And that opened in 1937, the Danilo. So now we had 3 super cinemas in our town. They changed the face of entertainment. They changed quite a lot of the face of our town from the point of view of building.
An important development in Regent Street in the 1950s was the building of the Edwards Centre on the site of a previous garage. Many years before, in the 1830s, Hansom had first had his cab built in a workshop on the same site.
This new Edwards Centre, of course, stimulated the shopping in the thoroughfare, and consequently congestion began to grow with the development of the town.
Now let me tell you of the closing of the cinemas in our town. Audiences began to dwindle for the cinema. And the first of our town cinemas to close was the Odeon in the borough. That closed in 1961. And within a year it had been demolished. And in its place went the building that is there today. It was built for a building society. Eventually it became the building we know today, the Nationwide Building Society. The next cinema to close was 7 years later. This building that I'm standing in today, this closed in 1968, shortly to turn into a bingo hall. And today it is Flutter's Bingo Club, And I take my hat off to the proprietors of Flutters for all the conservation and preservation they've done on this wonderful building. The Danilo Cinema, well, that kept going for quite a number of more years. In fact, they had changed it into a 3-screen cinema, and it closed in May of 1993. That building is still there, thankfully. So let's hope the cinema may once more return to our town and change the face of entertainment. Certainly it has changed much in our town in the way of buildings.
1995 saw the construction and opening of the Northern Perimeter Road, which in itself relieved much of the through traffic from Leicester, Coventry and Nuneaton from having to pass through the town centre, and it also provided openings for development of out-of-town industrial and retail outlets. 2003, and a further extension of semi-pedestrianisation is being installed, the Borough and Regent Street being the area of redevelopment. The short distance from the Union Corner to Mansion Street and Trinity Lane is to carry the flow of traffic wishing to journey through or to the other end of town. The borough from Stockwell Head at the Union Junction along to Regent Street is to be a loop turning and passenger disembarkation stopping place with no parking in this area. Buses and taxis will be taking advantage of an easier flow of traffic, and the shopping public will experience more freedom of safe walking in what promises to be a more open, expansive area. Use of the loop for putting down of passengers will be a gradual learning curve, and drivers will have to relocate themselves and their vehicles to a suitable parking area. The 1920s, with its lesser traffic loads, had its pavings lined with trees, a feature which it is programmed will appear as part of this current redevelopment. The 20th century demise of the town's knitwear and hosiery factories has reduced the number of current manufacturing businesses functioning within the town to only a few, with H.J. Hall Limited Socks being one still flourishing.
We were first established in 1882, and then many times during the war and after the last war we were producing heavy gauge socks, and we noticed a trend towards branded socks immediately after the war, and then introduced the H.J. Hall, the Commando socks, the Indestructible and Countryman socks, and more recently the soft top, no elastic sock. We have been successful, but it's meant a lot of hard work from the family, the managers and all the employees concerned.
I presume that you've had to make some fairly large investments in new machinery.
Yes, we certainly have made large investments in knitting machinery and more recently in packaging machinery that has ensured that we try and keep labour costs under control, but it is difficult.
And the grey socks that you now have down in front of you?
These were the ministry socks that we used to produce immediately after the war. They're particularly a very heavy 80% wool, 20% nylon sock, which has been superseded by the Commando sock that we produce here, that is also produced for the army, and this is more of a stretch sock with a cushioned sole. This particular sock sells very well to the farming community. It's very hard wearing and very comfortable.
Are you heavily involved in any way in export?
Yes, we are involved in export at the present moment. We think that is important aspects of our business for the future, and this is why we are so keen to brand all our products H.J. Hall.
So I see that most of it is done in white. Does that mean that they're dyed afterwards?
Yes, 60% of our production is dyed afterwards now. Where we use pre-dyed colour, it's because of the special patterning effects that we have to put into the sock.
Transco, part of the national gas distribution grid, another remaining business in the town providing employment for approximately 1,200 people. The cottage hospital, which was spoken about earlier in the film, has over the years had to embrace the growth of the town's health centre, And now, to relieve the situation, the Sunnyside Hospital on Ashby Road is undergoing an extension to its existing premises and will give to the town an establishment of considerable size with modern, up-to-date accommodation. Among the modern car dealerships, Trinity Motors has expanded its business with motor cars, four-wheel drive vehicles, LDV vans as the predominant part of its business. Servicing of the nationwide AA driving school vehicles is an impressive undertaking at their bodyworks department, and now utilising their resources and adjacent land on its Coventry Road site, they have developed the wharf for leisure activities, in total providing employment in excess of 250 people. In the latter years of the 20th century, the demise of the hosiery and knitwear has created an available workforce, and so the many industrial estates like Harrowbrook and the Dodderell estates have progressed to vast proportions. A wide variety of commercial enterprises have established themselves here, taking advantage of Hinckley's geographical situation and ease of connection with the country's motorway network, and also the availability of a large workforce. Tesco Distribution Centre employs in the region of 1,100 and has in the region of 2,600 lorries per week from suppliers bringing in their goods, and Tesco themselves have approximately 1,700 trailerised lorry movements per week making their deliveries. Triumph Motorcycles, with its 2 factories, provides regular employment for 650, having taken a large number of ex-knitwear workers and retrained them. This highly successful business enjoys an export of its products in the region of 85%. And now in August 2003, the national unemployment figure runs at 2.6%, but here in Hinckley we figure amongst the lowest in the country, with only 1.6% registering as unemployed. In 1905, the post office took a prominent position on Station Road and the junction with Lancaster Road, and to the rear of this was originally known as Waterloo Square or the Cork Hole in the 1920s. The bus station was created to handle the volume of traffic, bringing visitors in from a wide-ranging district to shop in the prosperity of Hinckley. What does the future hold? What plans are there to change the face? Plans are established to rejuvenate the lower area surrounding the existing bus station. Proposals are afoot to prepare an area with supermarkets, bus station, leisure facilities and a varied selection of retail outlets and car parking facilities, furthering the needs to progress on into the 21st century with its previously established quality, friendly and homely shopping area. The Druid Quarter, mostly contained within Derby Road, Holliers Walk, Mansion Street, Upper and Lower Bond Street and Factory Road, which has been the home for more than 100 years of many of the significant factory establishments, and is now the subject of a master plan of redevelopment. Many such areas in other similar towns throughout the UK have had their old buildings given a facelift for a wide range of facilities, from retail and factory shop outlets to gymnasiums and leisure activities, character snack bars and restaurants, and in many cases much needed living accommodation. Making use of existing built-up area together with already installed main services of course helps to retain our outer zones as a green belt area. No doubt the desperate need for more accessible car parking is on the cards, together with the pleasures of maybe a bowling alley or a cinema. Who knows what the future holds in this still changing face of a Midlands town.
And a big thank you to Stuart Watson, of course, the late Stuart Watson, who made that, say, way back in the mid-90s, actually. And isn't it amazing? We look at that with our today's eyes, think, well, that factory's gone, that building's gone, that's gone. Oh, look, they haven't built such and such yet. All that while that was going on, amazing. But changing face, and Hinckley's changing face. Who knows what's going to happen in the coming years? Okay, then, now, how are you doing with the quiz? Jolly good. I hope you're doing pretty well. Mr. Smugly, because he works at my... He won't be able to say that soon, by the way. when he's retired. But however, let's go through the quiz one more time. Oh, I've got to find it. It fell down the bottom of the list. Here we go. Let's go through it one more time and try and give you a subtle clue, but I'm wondering how you are doing with it. Question 1. Which mineral is commonly known as fool's gold? And by the way, if you don't know it, you don't know it. You don't have to go on certain search engines and cheat to find. If you don't know it, you don't know it. Mrs. G says, I should know that, but I can't remember what it is. Well, okay, you can't remember what it is. Okay. Question number 2. Now, when you stop to look, you can always see me, but if you try and touch me, you can never feel me. Although you walk towards me, I remain the same distance from you. So, what am I? Yeah. Pretty obvious, actually. It's pretty good one, that. Mrs. G's got that one straight away, yeah. So what gets bigger the more you take away, besides your bank balance? What gets bigger the more you take away? And the anagram, people wanting clues. It's very difficult to give you a clue. I will go as far as to say this is not a factory or a manufacturer. It is certainly a large regional company, which the chances are you have used more than often than not, definitely. So a big, large, well-known regional company I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah. Hey. I love it when it stumps them somewhat. But trust me, and I can't think of another subtle clue to tell you at the moment on the anagram, but there's a very, very, well, I would say 9 out of 10 people would have used this company for the service they provided, and it's a big, large regional company, not locally in the sense of it was a big regional company. I can't think of another suitable clue at the moment. Let's see how you go with that anyway. So think of a large regional company that was very prominent in the 50s, all the way through into the 90s actually. But of course, with everything going privatised, I imagine that it doesn't exist as such today. But yeah. And I'm not going to talk myself into giving you another clue because this is the penultimate live stream of the year. And, well, why not? It's just the mood I'm in today. Well, anyway, hope you enjoyed Hinckley's Changing Face. Now then, we're going straight back into it because Mr. Babington sent me another video, and I've got to show this one. Great. We're talking about cars. Men in us cars. Can you remember, lads? Can you remember Sunday morning tinkering with the car? Bonnet up. Just take the plugs out, put them back in again. Take the distributor cap off, put it back on again. Clean the distributor. Oh, clean my spark plug. We could do all that back in the day. You can't do it now. You lift the bonnet up and it's just going, no, you're not going to do it. What you're doing, there's nothing you can do under here. You can check your water and your washer bottles, and your oil level, and that's all you can do. Guys, you spend a lot of time on a Sunday morning tinkering around with their cars. So there you go. So I thought this would be a great little feature, which I could show you, looking back at some of the classic cars of the past. And a lot of you will see the cars which probably your parents had or an uncle had or anything like that. So with no further ado, this short little film, I think it's only about 10 minutes long. It's a lovely little one, all about the cars we remember and love, but whether they're as good or as bad as we remember. Settle back and enjoy this.
As part of our social history in 1970s Britain, we can't get away with looking at the cars that we drove around during that era. Cars were a status symbol in some families, and we remember them so fondly. But what about those disasters? Those cars that people called rust heaps, or the ones that didn't just cut the muster? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. 1970s, mainly British cars, and the worst ones. Some of you may agree, and some of you may not. So, let's go and find out. And moreover, we're going to find out the reasons why. But let's begin before, with that typical driving experience that we had in the 1970s. First of all, no power steering on many, so driving was more physical and harder work. No ABS braking, or wing mirrors that probably had to be moved by hand, the father asking the son to move the wing mirror until they could actually see what they wanted to see. And as far as entertainment was concerned, it was just a radio, or if you were posh, a radio cassette, or more fashionably, a radio and an 8-track player. Ashtrays were provided in cars as well as cigarette lighters. The seats were vinyl made of plastic, which in the summer was quite hot and in the winter freezing, and not forgetting those very noisy engines. But how we loved those cars. And let's not forget the lack of air conditioning in the summer and how freezing cold they were to drive when winter dawned. Number 1, the Austin Allegro, produced in 1973. The car was most memorable for its Quartic style steering wheel, a sort of squarey roundy thing, and it was designed to enable people to see through it, so therefore they could see more of the dashboard through the wheel. But many people criticised this, and later on in years they decided to make it the round wheel instead. The car sold very well in its early years, but it had a lack of rust protection, so the bodywork didn't last very long before it needed to be repaired or replaced. The Allegro was produced by British Leyland, and it was equipped by a different style of suspension using hydrogas instead of springs. Hydrogas was a fluid-filled suspension device in order to give a more comfortable ride. Research shows that this was a rush designed by British Leyland and therefore had many reliability issues. The Allegro was originally available in a 1 litre and a 1.57 litre engine, but had notably no hatchback, just a boot. But people will fondly remember these square door handles. Albeit the car was mocked in its day, it's very much remembered as a nostalgic vehicle. The Austin Allegro ceased production in 1982 and was considered part of the downfall of British Leyland. The car itself was labelled the Flying Pig, but do you agree with this? Did you own one? Maybe you could tell us your experiences in the comments. Car number 2, another British Leyland car, the Morris Marina, manufactured in 1971. And it was produced to rival the Ford Cortina, which was very, very popular at the time and still fondly remembered today. And have you seen those prices of a vintage Cortina nowadays? The Morris Marina was to replace the Morris Minor, which was manufactured as early as 1948. But it had to go, apparently. Even though the Morris Marina was often called the worst car ever made due to its cost, it sold relatively well in the 1970s both throughout Britain and internationally. The car had 2 engine sizes, both 1.3 and 1.8 litre, which became a very popular sell to buyers. The car was deemed harder to handle. The steering, the gearbox was notorious for breaking down. The car itself rusted very easily, and it was another rush performance by British Leyland, who had been thwarted by many strikes and the threat of bankruptcy. The engine itself was out of date and copied a lot of its details that were in the previous Morris Minor car. The car itself didn't look anything wonderful. It was just an ordinary family saloon. However, it was designed for easy repair, which made it much better than its foreign counterparts or foreign competitors. But the wonderful thing about the cars back then in the 70s, they were built so they could easily be repaired to the point where if you had the know-how, you could simply buy the parts and simply repair the car yourself. Well, I say simply, but you had to know a bit about them, which is very unlike today, where all cars have to be hooked to a computer and always have to go to the garage. They're designed that way, aren't they? The Morris Minor ceased production in 1980. Car number 3, the Robin Reliant. This iconic 3-wheeler car was produced in 1973, and it was economic. It could run over 70 miles to the gallon, with a top speed between 75 and 85 miles an hour on average. It was lightweight due to its fiberglass body, and one could actually drive this with just a motorbike license. So far so good. So why did people call it the plastic pig? It's difficult to find out what people didn't like about this car, apart from the fact that it had 3 wheels, and many thought at high speed the car was unstable and was susceptible to being toppled over. This was ridiculed in this manner in a programme by the BBC called Top Gear. However, it was later revealed that the car was counterweighted in order to make this happen more often. The fiberglass body was fragile, and although rust-proof, was susceptible to fire. So the car was ridiculed of its look also because of its small size when trying to drive and could only accept 1 passenger. Now we all know that British TV comedy Only Fools and Horses that made the car iconic in a yellow colour and the advertising of Trotter's Independent Traders. So did it deserve the name the Plastic Pig? It was so economical with its 700 to 1000 cc engine. It was nippy and quite easy to handle, and now goes down in history as an iconic car. So, if you have ever owned one of these cars, please let us know your experiences in the comments. The Robin Reliant ceased production in 2002, so that's quite late. Car number 4, the Triumph TR7. This car came off the production line back in 1975, and it seems that earlier models were less loved than the later ones, which were much more improved. The TR7 was considered a sports car with its 2-litre engine with 8 valves, but was also considered too slow to be called a sports car. It seemed that British Leyland were at it again with their poor performance due to issues of cars being deemed quite shabbily put together and prone to rust, and many electrical issues in the earlier models. The car had a reputation of a chassis waiting for a decent engine, although it did have a top speed of 135 miles an hour, and the car could run 35 miles to the gallon and would reach 60 miles an hour in 7.7 seconds. In my opinion, that's not too bad, but I must confess I know very little about these cars, so let's go and do some more research. Well, the front bumper was notorious for dropping due to being fixed on by rubber mounts, which would rot, but was easily changed later and became more stable. The water pump was prone to leaks, and it was quite complicated or hard to get out to replace, and the brakes were quite often poor and needed replacing. But mainly it comes out to whether people like the look of the car, and many people apparently didn't. But like many classic cars, people today look back with nostalgia. The car did make improvements over the years, but it did cease to be in production in 1981. Now this was a big car, the Austin Princess, which came off the production line in 1975. This was a roomy, family luxury car, according to the advertisements at the time. The car was available in 1.8 and 2 litres with 4-cylinder engines, and a 2.2 litre with 6-cylinder engines. The 2200 series actually had power steering, which was considered a rather slow engine, as it could reach 0 to 60 miles an hour in 11.7 seconds. The major complaint about this car was the fact that it wasn't a hatchback and therefore was just called a saloon car, with an ordinary, rather small size boot for the size of the iconic car. The angle was something that we all remembered, with a low bonnet and a high-end back. That makes it so recognisable when you saw it on the road. Later, the Ambassador, a similar car of the family, was finally introduced with a hatchback, produced in 1982. The Princess had Hydra gas suspension, and it was front-wheel drive, but many complained that without power steering, the car was very difficult to handle with the steering at slower speeds. It did have a luxury look and a lovely interior, like many of its type in the 1970s. But British Leyland were prone to produce cars that were easily rusting, but there was a problem with the paintwork. The undercoat of the paintwork was inferior, and rust problems, particularly on the bonnet, was always prone, and a respray would not solve it unless the car was stripped to its metal base and a decent undercoat was applied correctly. Other cons of the Princess were firstly its fuel consumption, which on average only gave out 20 miles to the gallon due to the car and its weight. And for its time, the gearbox was outdated with just 4 gears, or 3 gears in an automatic, which led to high engine strain on long motorway journeys. But the car will always be remembered for its massive interior space compared to its rather small footprint. And like many cars we've mentioned, whether you loved them or hated them, there will be a lot of people that would love to see or own one today. Number 5 is the Ford Pinto, which was introduced in 1970. This was a compact car which was believed to have been rushed onto the markets due to many car manufacturers releasing new models around this time. After all, it was the 1970s, and the early part of the 70s saw the British purse with spare cash, and car manufacturers wanted to cash in on this. First of all, it has to be said that the car was fuel efficient and a decent performing machine. However, as we've already mentioned, the car was prone to rust, as we see most of the 1970s cars. There must have been a lot of rust on their motorways. It seems that the parts were simple and easy to repair. So what were the cons of this particular car? Well, the most remembered thing was the arrangement of the fuel tank at the rear of the car, which was poorly protected and prone to leakage. If the car was hit from the rear, then the engine could burst into flames, which led to a lawsuit in the late 1970s and the early 80s, costing the company millions of pounds in compensation. And other major complaints were the weak seat belts and the out-of-date lighting inside the car. Next is number 6, and it's the Triumph Stag. The car was introduced in 1970, and to me it had an Italian look. Sporty looking, the convertible had a 3-litre V8 engine and sounded great due to its exhaust. However, it had its problems. One of the major problems with this car was overheating, which mainly led to the gasket failure. Moderations did save the car's life. Again, typical 1970s problems with rusting issues were problematic. And as well as that, it had a timer chain stretch issue, which meant that the chain had to be replaced every 35,000 miles or so. Along with part issues, not so much the parts but the replacement of the parts became difficult due to how they were placed inside the car, making repairs more complicated and expensive. When driving at high speeds, people complained of what they call cowl shake, which is a vibration of the car due to the steering being rather woolly. People would notice that when steering, the steering wheel itself would vibrate when travelling at high speeds. But this was not classed as a mechanical problem, more of an inconvenience at the time. But it has to be said, it was a fantastic looking car, and it cruises very well, and it looked rather racy. It was more or less a long distance journey car for those summer days with the top down, enjoying the sun and the wind blowing through your hair. It was really a lovely looking vehicle. The Triumph Stag ceased manufacture in 1977. Well, that was a few cars that are deemed the worst cars ever made. I apologise about the Punto. I didn't realise it was made in America, but we did use the engine parts in many cars in this country, so I kind of left it in. So I apologise if anyone disagrees with those cars and how they've been labelled by me, but I did do a lot of research because I must confess I haven't got a clue about cars. Well, that's me more or less done. Just to let you know, I've got other videos on this channel, all to do with social history, but I'm thinking about changing my channel name from Mickey Bavington's Social History, and I'm wondering if anybody's got any ideas of what I could call the channel. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, as normal, and I enjoyed reading your comments, and I must admit I can't wait to read these comments, particularly if you've owned any of these cars. My apologies if you loved them. Don't get me wrong, I love looking at classic cars. They're brilliant. They don't make cars like that anymore, do they? They all seem pretty shapeless, and they don't seem to have that appeal, do they? Great memories, and I hope that you've got some great memories of the cars we've mentioned. And the next one, I promise I should be doing the best cars of the 1970s. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.
And there goes our Mickey. Okay, thank you very much for that, Mickey. And like I say, if you go onto his YouTube channel, loads of stuff on there, and he's always putting new content on, so well worth it. We'll be featuring them in future productions, which is going to be the autumn. This is our penultimate live stream of this season. I know, we soon got through it. Now then, one thing I loved about that last feature was the fact, because today you don't see the old crates on the road, do you? Besides marker. No, you don't see the old bangers like you used to, and the old crates. You know, the stuff held up with gaffer tape and things like that. You just don't see them as you used to do back in the 70s and the 80s. You know, just one of those things missing. It's you know, a breed of car that no longer exists on the road. Probably as well, really, because they can be dangerous, I suppose. But at the time, deemed okay. You've done that, yeah. You know, but anyway, just stuff, and people enjoying that. So very interesting, says Dangerous Dan. And Kath Denny says it was a good film. Was that good? Well, if it's brought back memories, that's what HDPP is all about, is bringing back memories. Some good, probably some you think, yeah, I regret that or whatever. So there you go. Now then, I'm going to go through the quiz one more time before we have our final little feature, which is a message specially for you. But we're going to firstly go through the quiz. And once again, I think the anagram stumped a lot of people. But clever clogs. You see, David Blower on that boat, he's got time to think. And as the world goes by slowly, he's obviously done a little bit of thinking. I think I've got this. And David, if you have got it correct, which I'm pretty sure you probably have, well done. And I've deliberately not give out any actual obvious clues, because I guarantee it, as you will agree, David, it's such a well-known name, isn't it? Yeah, you know. Anyway, stop it, Paul, because knowing you, you'll give it away. So let's go through it. Last chance. Here we go. Here's the quiz. And question one was, which mineral is commonly known as fool's gold? It looks like gold, it tastes like gold, but it ain't. But what is the name? Question two. Now, I like this one. When you stop to look, you can always see me. But if you try and touch me, you can never feel me. Although you walk towards me, I remain the same distance from you. So, what am I? Some people, yeah, Mr. Smuggler's got it, apparently. One or two others, I think, may have got that one. Question number 3. What gets bigger the more you take away? And as I said earlier on, it's not your bank balance. But, yeah, it's a good one. What gets bigger the more you take away? And finally, abscond dumped Marilyn. Yeah. Does sound like a pudding. It does. Anyway, this was a company well known locally through the 50s into the late 80s and 90s. It was a large regional company. So I will scrap locally if you like. But anyway, you would have used this company, I guarantee it. A regional company. So it wasn't just Hinckley. It was a lot wider field where you would have met this company along the way. I guarantee it. Okay, abscond dumped Marilyn. Rearrange that. It'll give you the name of this very, very well-known regional company of the time. Right. I think I about got out of that one without giving it. So difficult without giving things away. It really, really is. I have to be really, really careful. Now, on to our last little bit for you this evening, and it's a bit of a personal message, and if you haven't already seen it online, and as you know, Mr. Nosy has sent us a message, and he posted it out the other day. So it's given you a little update. He has what he called a mini mooch, and also what he's been doing these last few months when we haven't seen him on our screens. And here's the man to tell you all about it. This only lasts about 8 minutes, so it's really short and sweet. But I like it. Mr. Nosy, come on in.
Hello, hey up and hey diddling, my name is Steve, and once again it's a great big warm welcome from myself to what once was. I hope you are incredibly well, wherever it is you reside on this rock we call home, the earth. Alrighty then, well I tell you what, it's been a minute, isn't it? Well, it's been a bit longer than a minute. It's been, when was it? August last year I made my last video. I've had a bit of a break from it. I'm not getting full into the swing of things just yet, so I just thought I'd make a little video. It's Friday afternoon, I've not long finished work, and whilst I was in this vicinity near Stanton-under-Bardon in Leicestershire, I thought, you know what, let's go on a little mini mooch at the old Cliff Hill Railway from Cliff Hill Quarry, which joined the Leicester and Burton Railway, which of course was formerly known as the Leicester and Swannington Railway. Absolutely amazing stuff, and I do apologise, I didn't plan on making this. I was literally just going to come down here and have a look before all the greenery comes back, because it's stripped back a bit now, isn't it? I'm walking on this beautiful little railway embankment. I mean, this was for a narrow gauge railway, and I made a video about this, the best part of, it must have been 5.5 years ago now. But I mean, look at this beautiful little embankment here. Nice that, isn't it? Yeah, it is, Steve. Yeah, it's a footpath on top of a bank. Of course, it was more than that once, but I mean, when you look at it, I don't know if the camera's doing it any justice, you know, but it's very narrow here at the top, and then, you know, I mean, the footprint on either side, of course, is wider to hold it all together and make it stable, but there must be decent material within this embankment, you know. But this isn't really why I wanted to come and look at this particularly. I just thought I'd start the video here. But where it gets interesting is just up ahead. So it crossed the road just behind me down there and went into its own very small shallow cutting on this side of the road, and that's where it gets quite interesting here. Now, the last time I come down here, you couldn't really get onto this part. Now, well, we're in the Andy Jones, aren't we? But I mean, well, we're not going to be walking up there. I've only got my trainers on. Like I say, this was unplanned, but you can clearly see the cutting here. Look. See what I mean? Isn't that nice? You're thinking, yeah, it looks absolutely mind-blowing, Stephen. But of course, you've got the road just there, Birrabara Lane, and you can clearly see, look, can't you? So more than enough room for a little narrow gauge engine. It would have looked really pretty, wouldn't it? Pretty. I like that. Got an old bottle here, look, and all. Oh, to note, or is it a model? Is it a modern one dressed up as an old one? Oh, Bulmers Limited, look. There you are. Well, I don't drink anymore, so that's no good to me. Did used to like a bottle of Bulmers, though, I must admit, back in the day. But what I do want to show you is even more fancy. Right then, so if we were chomping on a Cadbury's cream egg, we'd be getting sick of chocolate by now, wouldn't we, boys and girls? And you'd be saying, right, where's the cream? Where's that creamy centre? Oh, here it is right here, look. So, someone's parked there. But, I mean, look at this. The rails are still here. The crossing is still here. I mean, how fantastic's that? You've still got the rails here. Narrow gauge. Look at that. Beautiful, really, isn't it? And I was actually looking for signs up there, not in this bit here directly, because that's someone's garden. Ain't stopped me before, Stephen, has it? Now, you know, no comment and all that. But yeah, been cut off at this point, look, pretty certain of that. But this did travel down, I think, a bit of an incline, you know, but it certainly goes downhill. Let's just have a little look round here. Like I say, last time I come here, it was a bit overgrown and I couldn't really see an awful lot. I mean, there's a bit of rubbish and rubble there, so I'm not really sure. Hello, mate. You all right? Same butchers. Yeah. See, I'm not too certain. So I'm not being a weirdo, I make little videos. Right, there's a lad stood over there chilling out. I'm upsetting his peace and quiet, I think. But I thought it was an old railway call, but then it's not. Alrighty then, so the first bit of nosiness captured on camera for myself in 2026. And although I said earlier, I won't bore you with the details, well, I'll try and keep it as short and sweet as possible for you. But in truth, one of the reasons, there's a few reasons actually, I won't go into all of them, but one of the reasons that I stopped making videos in August was kind of the fact that I felt that as much as I love doing what I do, and even making and editing videos, there were times where I found myself doing it just for other people, really. I wasn't always doing it for myself. I was kind of keeping up with the Joneses on YouTube, you know, getting the likes, getting the subscribers, and I kind of, you know, lost myself in it. you know, the reason why I do this stuff anyway. I mean, I just love being outdoors. I love nature. What I love about being a nosy sod is in the summer months, when you get up really early, you know, like 4:30 in the morning and go somewhere, you get the sunrise, you get the birds singing, and that is so appealing to me. And I love doing that stuff, whether or not it's on camera or not. Plus I had a couple of little issues with copyright, bearing in mind the editing software that I was using, I was paying for it, and then music and that I was using, I was getting like copyright warnings, etc., which pissed me off quite a bit, to be honest with you. You know, paying a small amount every month for the privilege and then getting that. So I didn't actually intend to stop doing it full time. I did plan on coming back at some point, but when I came back, it was on my terms. I'm only going to make videos when I really want to make them, you know, not just because I feel I have to keep other people happy. And hey, listen, those of you that watch my videos, I really do appreciate it so much. I've had some lovely comments, you know, since I stopped. People have messaged me and reached out, wondering where I am, wondering if I'm okay or not. I am absolutely fine and dandy, feel fantastic. But, you know, I just thought I need a break from doing this, and maybe I won't come back at all. And I got the ump a little bit as well with the whole copyright thing, and ended up deleting all of my YouTube videos. People have told me I shouldn't have done that, but it don't matter. There was a few of those videos from very early on, you know, a good number of them that at one stage I did think to myself, I really want to make those videos again and do them better, because my presenting got better, I felt, and my actual editing got better. So maybe I'm going to revisit some places, and there's a few of them places, you know, where I missed interesting bits and bobs while I was out in the field of discovery and all that jazz, you know. So yeah, here I am. Like I say, this isn't going on YouTube. This will just go on my Facebook page if I can fit it on there. But yeah, it's nice to have a little wander. Really love that, where it crosses the road. And I tell you about shit me saying when I walked around that corner. I don't think I put him on camera. As soon as I seen him, I thought, no, I'm not going to point the camera at him, because the camera were facing that way, you know. But there was a lad down there having a smoke. Oh, it was all legal and above board. It weren't one of them type of smokes. It weren't the old Jamaican woodbine, as Del Boy calls it. But yeah, it made me jump, to be honest with you. Anyway, bloody hell, we're on the best part of 4 minutes. If you enjoyed this little video, please give it a thumbs up. Drop us some comments, say hey up and how you diddling and all that. And I'll see you very soon at the next one. I don't know when the next video will be. Like I say, I will make YouTube videos, but in the next few weeks I'm a bit busy anyway, so probably not then. But I hope you're all well. This was a hello. Now it's a goodbye. And enjoy your weekend. It's Friday. Enjoy your sends. Keep it real. Keep sticking your beaks in. And I'll see you in the near future. Ta-ra, me ducks. Bye-bye. TTFN.
There we go. Steve. I thought we'd better screen that, because I know a lot of people miss Steve on our streams. And a lot of what he said actually made sense. And I know what it's like. You know, you do these things and whatnot, then you realise other things are happening in your life, and then you think, what was I doing all that for, when I really should. Getting priorities right, getting family first and foremost is most important. But anyway, it's good to know that Steve is well, is carrying on, and like I say, he'll do the odd video here and there, and then I'm hopefully going to get him and Vinny to visit us in September. I'm waiting for confirmation of that from Steve, so we wish him well, and hopefully he'll probably come back with some even better video features and stuff from nosying around the areas. Right, okay, brilliant, good to see him. Right, okay, it's that time, ladies and gentlemen, where we are going to go straight to the quiz, get the answers, why that's been playing. Some people say, I finally got the anagram. You see, I can't give any clues too much, because it's not an easy one to give a clue to, and when you do a clue, chances are it gives it away, you see. So well done to those that have claimed to have got it, which I'm sure they have. We're going to go through the questions now, so you can put your answers in as we go to them. Don't all rush forward. Gives me a chance first to get everything else sorted out here. Now I should have down here a quiz with chat. it'll say. So, here's the weekly quiz, and get ready to put your answers in now. We are going to get some 4 out of 4s after all. At one stage, it was looking like only one person was going to do it, but some of you, I should say, have come through with alleged correct answers. So, now you see, Mr. Look, you're off. Oi, stop. I've not even put the question on yet. John Denny, go to the back of the class. Sit down. Look, you're all at it. No, I'm not going to change the screen until you've all stopped. Now, look at this. I'm a good mind. I'm feeling so... I'm a good mind. You've got to wait for me to read the question first. You've all gone up. I'm a good mind to dock you all a point to that, you know. Oh dear, this is hilarious. You will see the chat coming in. That is brilliant. Thank you. Right, I'll start again. I was going to say, don't put your answer up until I've done the question, is what I was going to say. But I did say you can put your answers in now. Yes, I did say that. But you normally give me a chance to actually get to the question, to read it out first. Jane, you know what it's like working in a school, don't you? Jane Brown. And that's what they've just done to me. They've all gone very naughty. But seeing it's our last but one broadcast, I'm going to let you off with that one. But don't put the answer in until I actually read. It says it's in my contract. You read out the question again before the answers. Okay, right. Oh, it's making me laugh. It's brilliant. So anyway, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll cut that bit out, and nobody will ever know that it happened. Okay, you are correct. It's pyrite. Yes, you're pyrite. Absolutely you are. Which mineral is commonly known as fool's gold? So that was it. Now, wait a minute. Wait. I'm going to read the next question. Then, by all means, fire away. So, the next question. When you stop to look, you can always see me. But if you try to touch me, you can never feel me. Although you walk towards me, I remain the same distance from you. What am I? Go. Now you can put your answers in now, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. John Denny? Oh, no. He's wrong. Jeff Wallace? Wrong. Oh, no, this has surprised me. Oh, Dennis Perkins? Wrong. But clever little Jane Brown. She's right. We're talking about the horizon. Any other ones on that? If you're saying shadow, which I understand why you would put that. That's not the answer I'm looking for tonight. All of a sudden, things have changed. I thought people were going to get 4 out of... It's not happening. The correct answer I'm talking about is horizon. So well done for those of you that have got horizon. Yeah. Annabelle says, spiders, you never escape. Oh dear. Anyway, there you go. Now then, stand by. I'm going to read the next question. Then you can put the answer in by all means. Now, what gets bigger the more you take away? Go. So there you go. What gets bigger the more you take away? Let's see what answers come in the chat room on this one. That last one surprised me because I honestly thought most people would get that straight away. So here we go. Let's see. Okay, Mr. Smuggler's redeemed himself here. And we are talking, of course, and you're all getting this right, a hole. A hole? Yes, a big hole. Yes, it gets bigger the more you take away. Of course it is. So well done. Nice one. It's quite funny to read that when it says a hole. I didn't... Oh, dear God. No, it's been a long season. Anyway, yes, as David says, I was going to put a-hole, but it sounds so wrong. Exactly. I've just seen it that way, mate. On to the anagram. Abscond dumped Marilyn. A company well known through the 50s into the 90s. A big, large regional company. You would have used them, I guarantee it. And in comes Mr. Smuggerly, as does Dennis, as does Jane, as does Jeff Wallace, coming in with the correct answer. I would also add, yes, the Midland Red Bus Company. Yeah? So what about that, eh? I say, Annabelle's been on the 18th birthday party drink, and you can see, yeah. Anyway, yes, the Midland Red Bus Company, of course, and originally I was going to try and include Coventry Road in it, but Anyway, it was getting all a bit complicated. So well done if you got the Midland Red Bus Company. Absolutely correct. Well done. Dave B was the first one to get it earlier on in the chat room, I noticed. So you know what that means, don't you? It means it's now time to submit your scores for the day. So let's see the scores coming in then now. So add them up. I think there will be some 4 out of 4s, but I think most of some are 3 out of 4s and stuff. But Jane is celebrating tonight. She's got 4 tonight. 2 for Daniel Coburn. And of course, 18 out of 4, which only Annabelle could get on a night like this. 4 for David, 1932. Again, John Denny. Yes, see, John, I thought you were going to be so smugly. You've got a chance to do it one more time next week for our last one. See if you get all 4 right. 3 for Jeff Wallace and Co. Dennis said 2 for me as well. So well done anyway. Congratulations to those that took part, because it's the taking part that it's all about. Just I forgot to tell you, if you're missing the Kirby's and the Crops tonight, they've had a better offer. They emailed me earlier, well, actually sent me a text and say, we've had a better offer, we're off out tonight. I thought, well, okay, yep, fine. Mark them down, mark their card. But of course, hopefully they'll be here next week for our last live stream of this particular season. So anyway, thank you for all your all feedback into the chat room. It's always great. You've made me laugh tonight. Actually, it's been quite funny. And hopefully we can do that for a final time next week. So another week stretches ahead. This is the end of the weekend. I know you got to think, oh, it's work tomorrow. I know, and blah, blah, blah. But I do hope that you could join us for our last one next week, when we'll do it all over again. I'll be here if you can be there. And thank you for the nice comments about people that heard me on the radio in the week, in the mornings. And it was quite nice to be there doing that. Made a bit of a change. Thank you very much for joining me. I will see you next week for the final one of the season. Tell your friends we'll be here. Oh, and I hope some of you will be in the church Saturday afternoon for our HDPP Old School Hymns and Songs Assembly job. Looking forward to that. That's going to be great as well. Until then, take care. See you next week. Ta-da.
We're making history. HDPP chapter opposes supporting local causes. Streaming HDPP live. Betty is our queen bee. The sweetest honey can be. Interested, here again. HDPP live. Hey, you know we keep it HDPP live.
And of course, part of the programme we'd never talk about, and that's this bit. And who would talk about this bit? This is the bit I like to leave you with, just a bit of a chortle, just so you can have a laugh. And I've got some great little dad jokes to give you tonight. So if you're all sitting comfortably, and like I say, we don't tell anybody else. This is only you and me. Nobody else knows we're here, you know. Okay, we've got some dad jokes to go through. Let's see if I can go through these really quickly for you. So, if you settle back, enjoy. What do you call a hippie's wife? Mrs. Hippie. What do you call a chicken that gets kicked out of school? Expelled. What do you call a chicken at the North Pole? Lost. Why can't you trust atoms? Well, they make up everything. Why didn't the cheese want to get sliced? Because it had greater plans. And what is a caterpillar's biggest natural enemy? A dogapillar. Love it, love it. Take care. See you soon. Good night.